Uh, I mean, I'm on Twitch, but it just says you're watching a past broadcast. But usually that means, yeah, usually that means it's probably a few seconds behind or something, from what I've seen. Because I just get the notification from Twitch. Because I see your background, so we're either on or we're not on. Now it's live. There we go.
Okay.
Well, if you saw by the
I started over again. I forgot to turn on the mics. I'm sure I would need that at some point, right, guys?
Yep.
Okay, everything's working again. Sorry,
are
everybody.
we sure that it's working?
Oh no, it is working because I see the levels going and the stream has started all over again.
Okay.
And I am way off, guys. I probably am still jet lagged by the 1 hour I was spent in Houston. Um,
Yeah, I think you just came back into town today, right?
I came back yesterday, but I was so tired.
Yeah, no kidding.
Um, and I've been Andrew knows I've been working up until now,
Right.
so I'm just a little. I guess I'm a little fumed right now.
Mm.
So how how are you guys? They're a little frustrated with me, but whatever. We're going here. Um,
As long as we're up and running.
we have playoff games. The St. Louis Blues can move on to the Stanley Cup Finals if they beat the San Jose Sharks tonight in St. Louis at 8 o'clock. At 8:30, the Milwaukee Bucks are up 2-1 on the Raptors, but the Raptors, well, not really the Raptors. The Kawhi Leonards have a little life left in them. He is not staying in Toronto. Um, and oh, we actually got a like on freaking Twitter for our podcast.
Really?
Yeah,
Very nice.
and we've got baseball games as well.
All 30 teams are
And
playing.
you are facing the Dodgers today. That's
I know.
interesting. The Marlins are facing the Tigers, and whoa, we're actually winning 1-0. Whoa, we have a 3-game winning streak, by the way, everybody.
I know. It's you. You guys are
We swept the New York Mets, which says more about the Mets than it does us.
kind of like how I guess in honor of Game of Thrones ending. You found this really funny website. What is it called? Tankopedia or
Tankathon.
Tankathon?
And actually, I will post it on screen right now. Now that we're here, let me.
And kind of in the same vein as urinating trees, tank bowls. This is a season-long race of a tank down to the bottom. Miami is doing the exact opposite of what they need to do. They need to keep losing in order to get the best draft spot.
And really, this is I don't know who I found this site from, but it's really great. It has for the NBA, the NHL, and the NFL, and Major League Baseball. So let's go to Major League Baseball right now. The Marlins have a half-game lead. This is an easier way to kind of calculate your position because it reverses the order. The Marlins have a half-game lead over the Baltimore Orioles, who are truly awful as well, and 1.5 game lead over the Kansas City Royals for the first pick in the MLB draft, which, just like in the NFL, if you're the worst team, you get the number one pick. Unlike the NBA, which the draft lottery happened, and we didn't even get to talk about that because we were off.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will get to that. Unfortunately, Charles's New York Yankees are about 15 games out from the Marlins, so you guys need to do a little better, all right, Charles? And Andrew, your Rays. Let me see.
We're doing terribly.
Yeah, you guys are about 14 games out from the number one pick, so I don't know what's up with you guys. And the LA Dodgers, you guys are lined up against each other. Tampa Bay 14, New York Yankees 15, and the Dodgers are 16 games back of the Marlins. So I don't know. You guys are gonna have to get some injuries. Need to sit some people. Need to fire some managers.
We've had enough injuries as it is. Don't curse us, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, you guys keep winning out there. Sheesh.
Something that was funny was Gary Thorne, who was one of my favorite play-by-play announcers. He used to be the voice of the NHL on ESPN. And he's now the main play-by-play for the Baltimore Orioles. He was pissed at Gleyber Torres the other day because he just keeps hitting home runs. You can watch this clip of him. He said basically he has to stop being so good. He's tearing the Orioles apart.
All right. So, guys, I wanted to open the show. Yo, Mikey, how you doing, dude?
Hey, Mikey.
How's it going? You like our setup? You like everything that we're doing here? Actually, I wanted to start our show with a let's just go to our Instagram page here. I guess so. If you guys recall, if anybody recalls, really, back in, when was it, February, that we went to the Florida Panthers game together?
Correct.
I think around back in February. That
It was actually, I think, February 9th.
Okay. So back. Actually, let me take myself off of this thing. Maybe that will help. Oh yeah, connecting to data network. Okay, I think we're back. Whoa, yeah, we're definitely back. That was my ear. Okay. Back at it again. Okay. So, anyways, we won tickets to the Miami Marlins game. Gosh darn it, I made that mistake already. Got some good seats, and we kind of wanted to share our experience at the ballpark, guys. I hadn't been to Marlins Park since last season.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
I went, maybe it wasn't last season. I think the last time may have been 2017. But it regardless, it definitely wasn't before the renovations of this past year. And Charles hasn't been in a really long time. There you go.
Yeah. You said, Charles, you went there about 2012 or something?
Yeah, well, for Jones's last season.
Yeah.
Just went down to that game. That's when it was dirt cheap. So the park to me is just, it's like being born again. First time. I liked it a lot. When we went Tuesday. Interesting.
All right. So I've got some photos here from our experience there. Don't know how well you can see it there. It looks pretty tiny, actually. Don't know why it's looking like that, but they made a lot of, great changes to the park. I'm actually very, very happy with what Derek Jeter and crew has done. Everything just feels nicer. It looks nicer. It feels more. If anybody's seen these kind of modern, trendy buildings, especially down here in Florida, with the clean lines and the clean look and the just solid colors and objects and a lot of like aluminum and metal with white backgrounds and such. That's kind of the look they have at Marlins Park, and it makes me. It really and they've got like the greenery, like the green ivy hanging on some areas. So it's actually more Miami than it used to be. And not Miami in the tacky way, which is how Jeffrey Loria made the ballpark look, but more Miami in the just kind of the modern way. If I can kind of say it that way, and I think we all had a good time. As far as we had some food. I had like a hot chicken sandwich, which I thought was pretty good. They had this thing called the 305 menu. I think you ate off of that. You both ate off of that, right?
Yeah.
You and Charles. Like you got like a hot dog and French fries and like for what, like $5?
Yeah,
more or less.
The 305 menu is kind of it's almost like the equivalent of the Atlanta Falcons fan-friendly menu.
Right.
Because everything else at that stadium is really, really expensive. Unbelievably expensive. If you're a standard family, they actually do like a fan index of how much it costs to go to a baseball game these days. Definitely, the 305 menu is worth it. Anytime you have the opportunity to get a Nathan's hot dog, you should take it. Nathan's is one of the best brands. It's America's brand because they do the national hot dog eating contest every year with them.
So, the Marlins lost. Obviously, they were facing your Rays,
which I am very happy that they lost. It's really the only time that I'll hope that the Marlins lose.
But we're not here to bash the Marlins. We're actually here to thank the Marlins. We actually got some goodies. That was the fun part.
Yeah. What was it? Well, first off, we had these little kind of tote bags, sponsored by the MLB Network. So we had that. We had these T-shirts, both like a regular ball cap, but also a bucket hat, I think it's what it's called. Bucket hats, sunglasses, batting gloves.
Yeah, the batting gloves were a really nice touch. I like them.
What else was there?
There was sunglasses, the two hats, a car flag.
Car flag, that was
car flag, which I'll probably just give it to my dad, because he likes that type of stuff. A car flag, two sunglasses, batting gloves, shirt. There was a shirt, socks. There were socks in there too.
Yeah.
But they were too tiny for me. I'll probably just give them to my nephew.
My one criticism.
Sunglasses too.
Yeah. My one criticism, and again, it's awesome that the Marlins, we got free tickets to the game, and they were pretty decent seats. The only criticism I'd have is that those goodie bags were made out for like a kid.
Honestly, they probably was the leftover like promotional items they had this earlier in the year that they give to kids like on a Sunday or Saturday.
Right.
But some of them were useful for us. I mean, I'm still using the batting gloves.
Unfortunately, my hands are a little too big for those, so
lady hands.
And actually, Charles brings up a good point. Armageddon is probably imminent at some point because because Doug finally emerged.
That's true. So Doug, if anybody who ever followed us from the beginning, Doug was one of the original members, and he was for maybe 2 or 3 of our episodes, essentially, and then kind of his schedule kind of got busy, his work.
The dude is a workaholic, and he's not a type A type person where I don't want to say that he doesn't enjoy doing it. He's doing it to, get enough money because the cost of living down here in Miami is ridiculous. But he basically every day, he works his butt off till 7:00. He puts in full days.
Right. He works late.
Yeah, so he's never either able to or in the mood to come on the show. I don't know how you did it.
A free ticket and swag bag, dude. That's how you do it.
Exactly.
But no, honestly, he really wanted to come. He almost didn't come because he had some work stuff, but he was able to get out of it. He came to the game maybe about half an hour later from us. I mean,
right.
And we walked around the park again, and we just had a good time. We just talked, life and sports.
I made 3 circuits of the park. For anyone that's never been to Marlins Park, try and pull up a good picture that shows the kind of the concourse.
I'll see if I can.
Something
it's hard to find it on Google,
right?
But
something that I really like about the design of Marlins Park is
they just have old photos of the ballpark, and
it doesn't matter. It's the same.
Yeah, the concourse is the same except for that new area that they did,
right?
In left field, in center field.
So I'm not really sure if you can see it from the pictures, but Marlins Park has a full concourse that wraps all the way around the stadium or the playing field.
Yep.
And you always have sight of the field. You have a completely unobstructed view of the field at all times. So that's something I like because you're never really missing anything. You just, depending on your angle, either whatever. But I had fun. I made 3 circuits, one by myself, one with Francisco and Charles, and then one with all 4 of us. It's really fun to walk around. A lot had changed, so I got to see all of that. Well, you circuited as well, so.
I mean, as we were going around, you guys were noticing, I was like looking, they changed that, and they changed that. And like I was pointing out all the differences. I knew what the differences were because I know my home ballpark.
Right. Well, the big change, and I noticed a couple as well. One that you noticed that I didn't even see until later was you noticed that there was new flooring.
I noticed there was new flooring. I noticed that there was paint in areas that never used to have paint before. Like it was small little change. I knew there was like ivy hanging in certain areas that weren't there before either. Just like these little areas that back in the Loria era, they would never have they wouldn't have spent the money to do any of this to make the place look nice. It was just a tacky looking place. It's kind of like the motel that I'm probably going to stay at tomorrow in Boston. Like me and when I went to games with my cousin, we used to joke because sometimes because it's a retractable roof and sometimes the roof closes and birds get stuck inside and then they reopen and the birds get out.
We actually had at least one bird fly over us. Luckily, there was no excrement involved, so I'll consider that a victory.
So I used to joke with my cousin because of how cheap and tacky the Marlins were under Loria. Like they probably the birds that get stuck in here, they probably kill them and serve them to us as chicken tenders. That was the joke. That was the joke. We used to just make fun of Loria the entire game. That was what made us had fun at the ballpark. But honestly, I didn't have any of those comments during the game. We made some references to Jeter when Doug was doing his VR batting and stuff. Like I think Charles was mentioning hey, we'll send the tape to Jeter type of stuff. But hey, it's I don't know. How did you feel, Charles, going to your Lord and Savior's your church?
I mean, I'm just hoping people convert to the Church of Jesus.
Jesus.
I mean, Jesus. There we go. I am behind that completely. We could definitely work with that to everything to that degree. It was nice. It looked good. It was definitely something that was entertaining. It didn't feel empty, even though it was an empty stadium.
Yeah.
That's the biggest contrast that we all have coming into it, that, it would look so much better if there was actual butts in the seats. But maybe in like another 10 years, people will actually be at half of full attendance.
Hope it doesn't take 10 years to get to that. But I know, but I hear what you're saying.
What was nice is it definitely had a little bit of the Miami flavor, aside from Clevelander on the outside of the stadium, or I guess inside the park, where you're going up into like this, the area we were walking around. You had a variety of, typical food place, Argentinian food place, if I remember correctly. They had a convenience store there.
That was a really nice touch.
They really
never popped in there, ironically. Good stuff for the kids. We had grown men like us doing VR batting practice.
Well, they've had the VR batting practice for at least a few years now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I haven't
been
there.
Right.
Yeah.
The one big thing, and again, I never went to games back when the stadium opened in 2012, but the world famous bobblehead museum was that there in 2012?
The bobblehead museum has always been there. They just moved it into the outfield.
Right.
It used to be behind home plate, but
so they basically moved it
right.
They moved it behind,
because I think people would stop there and they get distracted and stuff. Because around home plate and the the main grandstand is where all the food and stuff is. Whereas in most ballparks, all of like the extracurricular stuff is in the outfield.
Right.
Because that's the most open space. That's where you have all the kids stuff. So they moved all that stuff to around like right center field, which makes more sense.
Definitely.
And left field was probably the biggest difference because of that, the taking down the monstrosity and placing that new deck, the deck that they have there.
Can you pull a picture of it?
I tried to. I mean, it looks pretty small on our screen here. That's the issue. But essentially in left field, they tore down the monstrosity at Marlins Park and placed what they call the AutoNation Alley right now, sponsored by AutoNation. And it's a standing room only area where the monstrosity used to be. And essentially, it's a great place to kind of just... The site of the outfield, it just looks so open. Like, you feel like you're right on top of the field. And you basically are.
Right.
And they had, like, the Budweiser bar behind that. And I was the one to point it out to all of you guys, like that area of the outfield where the Budweiser bar, I think they either moved the bar itself or they just extended all of that flooring to accommodate the new people. I have it there on screen right there. It's pretty tiny, but that's the new AutoNation Alley right there. You can see it, the outfield wall, just to the right. So that area, it pleases me. It very much pleases me.
It pleases me.
We've been going on about 20 minutes now about this.
But let me just say this really quickly before we move on. The fences were changed to blue.
That's right. If you saw the images from before, it was kind of like a lime green, and
for anyone that follows college football here, it would make Oregon feel inadequate.
Right.
Oregon, which is known for its highlighter green and yellow uniforms.
Right.
It subconsciously blinded you.
Everything's better. Everything's more subdued, but at the same time, the things pop where things should pop.
Right. Oh, and they took down the Miccosukee pole.
Yeah, it was like in the right field, you have the foul pole or fair pole, whatever you want to call it. And behind that is like this large pillar that helps support the roof. And it used to be completely yellow with Miccosukee, which is a casino down here, gaming ads all over it. And they painted it white now. It's blank for now.
It looks so much better.
And yeah, it looks better. It's easier on the eyes. It's not as confusing, especially if you're an umpire and need to look down the line to see if the ball's going to be there. But overall, I'm happy with the changes to Marlins Park. I thank the Marlins and the Florida Panthers for the opportunity for us to go there and make fools of ourselves at the hockey game and goof off at the Marlins game. The one thing, like Charles said, which I agree with, is just just get butts in the seats, and the Marlins just need to start winning.
Well, if you start losing the tankathon, then you will get more
Right.
butts in seats.
We just have to go through these very painful next 2 and or 3 years, much like the Astros did, which I was in Houston yesterday, and those people love the Astros now. I just saw Astros stuff all over the place. It was shirts at the airport. I didn't see anything Houston Texans at the airport, but I did see Houston Astros. I didn't even see Houston Rockets. Like, maybe because the Rockets keep disappointing everybody. So that could be a thing. But the Astros, that is an Astros town right now. And it's to play any other sport. Yeah, the Marlins could play another sport. That could be a thing. But really, Miami's kind of the relationship between South Florida and the Marlins is pretty toxic right now, and it's not going to get any better until our trades and draft picks start hitting.
Just a brief side note, if anyone wants to know why South Florida hates the Marlins so much, go over to SB Nation.
Yes, I was about to say. I'm not going to explain it here.
They posted a video maybe a month ago. They have this new series called Collapse, where they talk about these really good teams like the mid-2000s Detroit Pistons, the New York Giants, Detroit Red Wings, etc. And they cover the collapse of the 1997 Marlins, extending into 2003, which were the 2 years that they won the World Series. So if you want kind of a backdrop of that, that'll kind of do it for you.
Of SB Nation, John Boys dropped another Boys bomb today with his second part of the Bob stuff. I haven't seen all of it, but it just is another thing. But yeah, here it is. You see Collapse Season 1. The 2001 Mariners, the Red Wings, the Nets, the Bucks, and the Marlins are part of this series. There they are. But okay, guys, moving on. Gosh darn it, Siri, I'm not talking to you. Let's see, we're on baseball right now. We're talking about the Marlins. I don't know if we want to keep talking about baseball, but we're not going to talk about baseball. While we're at the baseball game, I guess this is a good segue. We were talking in the middle of the game. I was checking Twitter because the NBA draft lottery happened that night.
Right.
And Charles, people went a little nuts.
Rigged.
Oh, Charles says it's rigged. So, for those of you, I don't know who doesn't know this at this point, but the New Orleans Pelicans won the NBA draft lottery. They had what, a 6% chance? That was it?
Yep.
A 6% chance of getting the number 1 pick. I enjoyed the fallout because of the New York Knicks fans having more misery. That was one. It's always nice to see New York Knicks fans in agony. At least there's a Bobo in sports, though.
Well, I'll tell you, the kind of what I loved seeing in a way was the conniption that Stephen A. Smith was having. I swear his blood pressure probably doubled when he found out that the Knicks didn't get the top pick. I don't know why he likes the Knicks so much.
Oh gosh.
But boy,
yeah, it's his team. It's his team. But so let's see. I'm pulling up the NBA 2019 draft lottery and the results. So as a Miami Heat fan, we had the 1% chance, and we weren't gonna get it unless there was some miracle, like when the Magic got Penny Hardaway with like a 1% chance back in the early 90s. But so we're stuck at number 13. The Miami Dolphins drafted at 13, and the Florida Panthers will draft at 13 this season, or this off season. So it's just kind of like the lucky number for South Florida at this point. But the Marlins will not draft 13 unless they win a ton of games. Anyways, New York Knicks fans are pissed. That was fun.
Do you know who also
The LA Lakers came out winning because they got the number 4 pick. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting.
Do you know who also appeared to be ticked from news reports?
Zion Williamson. I'm here. There was an. I guess someone said that he kind of rushed off the stage, or he was rushed off the stage by his handlers or whatever. But I've read other reporters saying that he probably wasn't that situation, and maybe it's just ESPN or whoever's trying to build some sort of controversy there. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty obvious he's not going to where he thought he would go to.
Right.
Charles, you say it's rigged.
Rigged.
Pourquoi?
All right. So explain to me. You have to explain to me. I'm going to use like the last. We're 2019. So let's look at the last 10 years. So I'm gonna get out my stuff as I do this. You got to explain to me how the teams that are losing a legitimate superstar or deemed to be losing a legitimate superstar because the Anthony Davis hasn't left yet seems to get the damn number 1 pick against all odds. And I have the list coming up, so we're gonna run by this. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I've got it on screen here. The at least 1 through 10 here, 1 through 11 actually.
You have the draft order up there. I've got like the number 1 picks and the teams from the last like 2 decades to prove a point. So I'm gonna start it from. I'm just taking a peek. I'm gonna start from 2003 on. Let's have fun with this.
Okay.
And I can make it very brief.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I'll probably pull it up on screen. So go ahead.
All right. So this is on NBA.com history draft. 2003, Cleveland, LeBron James. How convenient that a man from Cleveland or a boy from Cleveland gets picked by his childhood team. Oh, but we won't say rigged because Cleveland sucks, so we want to make him look good. That's my inner Stephen A. Smith impression. 04, Dwight Howard to the Magic. Hey, it's a baby Shaq replica. It's basically taking Shaq's left, body part, because I have to keep it rated G today, and cloned him. We got Dwight Howard coming in. Then we have Andrew Bogut for the Bucks. Andrea Bargnani. Greg Oden. Derrick Rose. Blake Griffin. Now here comes the point that Charles is making in the modern day NBA, from a David Stern to a Adam Silver era. 2010, John Wall. We're cool with that. 2011, gentlemen. What happened in 2010 prior? Didn't a certain man make a decision? Or 2011 make a decision?
2011, LeBron James, or no, 2010 actually. 2010, LeBron James leaves.
Yeah. And terrible, right?
Right. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are the worst team, and
I don't even know if they were the worst team that year for the lottery projections. They were bad. They hardly won anything, but they end up landing number 1 pick, Kyrie Irving. Ooh. 2012, Anthony Davis.
Yeah, the Chicago Bulls and Derrick Rose. That's right.
2013, Anthony Bennett. Then comes 2014. Certain man decides he wants to leave Miami. He says, hey. But I don't want you to release it to the media yet that I'm leaving. Don't tell Pat Riley that I'm gone yet. Let's wait till the draft comes in. Cleveland gets Andrew Wiggins. I think is all high money. It's great.
And it sets up the trade. Right.
Because not only does LeBron come back, we just funnel it out to get Kevin Love. Because that's essentially what happened. Andrew Wiggins, like maybe 2 other no names.
Right.
Love comes in. So now, rigged, because now we're building media. Now we're just truthfully benefiting the crappy teams that we feel have been, really doing badly. Or we can at least sensationalize the media. LeBron comes back home. What happened that year? They went to the finals, lost, but the following year they won. Karl Anthony Towns didn't replace anybody big.
Well, he could replace Kevin Love.
Yeah.
Like you could say, if you're going with this rigging conspiracy theory that you've got here, so now the Wolves get their guy back in a sense.
We're going to say rigged. And then we have the process not really working because the next 2 years was Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, Ben Simmons is just kind of like...
But I'm still going to kind of say rigged because, come on, man. If it's a lottery and we're putting ping pong balls in there, it shouldn't be 1, 1, 1, 1. It should be 1, 2, 10,
Well,
9.
I mean, the Sixers winning a ton of lotteries. I mean, Yeah, that I guess you would call them the Edmonton Oilers of the NBA in that era because the Oilers and the NHL were just getting number one picks like crazy, and the one year that they probably shouldn't have gotten the number one pick, they did, and they draft Connor McJesus, and everyone's pissed off about that, and now he's dying out in Edmonton because they still suck, even though he's godly. But that's an aside. Sorry, keep going.
All right. So then what happened is DeAndre Ayton comes in there, whatever. But then this year, it is known that Anthony Davis is probably out. The Pelicans just so happened to land the number one pick on a smaller probability, but bigger than the Knicks, than the Suns, and everybody else. And they so happen to land a guy who can probably, if he learns how to work with a three-point shot and learn how to just distribute the ball at the post a little bit more, a perfectly acceptable replacement to Anthony Davis. How convenient, gentlemen. Rigged. No science.
Okay.
It's happened 3 times the last 10 years. I'm going to say there's some sneaky stuff going on. Rigged.
It's like when people call meteorologists wrong because the unlikely event happened. Shake my head. Yeah.
It doesn't snow in Florida, guys, but it's snowing in the NBA.
It snowed in Vegas. I remember that. The Golden Knights were posting that. But I think what would help this, because the reporters that were there, and I remember Ira Winderman of the Sun Sentinel, who covers the Heat, said that they knew the results an hour before the show, but obviously they have to do the show because advertising dollars and all that show, drama, what have you. It would make more sense for all of us, but to kind of see them with the ping pong balls, just like the lottery, and on a like a regular lottery for us, hey, and here's 1, and here's 2, and here's whatever, and they just go in order like that. I don't know what's a way of making the NBA draft lottery more like that, but or at least make it, or at least take away that sense that it's rigged, from you.
All 30 teams.
All 30 teams.
If the rich gets richer, then you know what? That's life, because that's what free agency is supposed to do, right? Free agency is supposed to balance.
Honestly, I'm glad the NBA lowered the odds for a ton of teams, especially those 3 worst teams, because honestly, the Phoenix Suns did not deserve this. I'll tell you that much. The Phoenix Suns are the one team that do not deserve another number 1 pick.
I know. I would have lost it though, because here's the thing: here I am saying rigged, but the worst team doesn't get it, because if they got it, I kind of would have hated it so much.
I mean, the New York Knicks were awful. So if from a baseball, football perspective, yes, they probably deserve the number 1 pick in that sense, because they were awful, but they were so awful on purpose that it was like, oh my God. It kind of felt like, and this is something, another hockey reference, and if anybody's seen the documentary, I don't know if it was TSN or Sportsnet who did it, but it was covering the drafting of Mario Lemieux and the outright awful tanking that teams were doing just to get him, because they knew he was going to be something else. It was so egregious that it was like, man, if you were a Penguins fan, I think it was the Penguins and maybe the New Jersey Devils back then. I forgot who else was in the running for Lemieux, but it was like this is awful. The players knew it, everybody knew it, and I think leagues are trying to avoid such egregious tanking at this point. Like in football, in the NFL, like I'm hoping the Dolphins are going to be awful. Okay, because in the NFL, sometimes it doesn't take much for you to get a few more pieces, and you can make an awful team suddenly better. Coaching, I think, is a lot more stronger in football. So strategy and GMing, all that type of stuff, kind of can get you out of the basement faster in the NFL. Because getting a number 1 pick, one guy in football, unless it's like a supremely awesome quarterback, is not going to do much to lift your team out of the basement, but and the same thing in baseball. But NBA, yeah, NHL a little less so, but you get a number 1 guy like a Crosby or an Ovechkin or Lemieux or whoever, all of a sudden, or McDavid, like, unless you're the Oilers, who can't seem to do anything with them. But
the real trick though is Taylor Hall. wherever Taylor Hall goes, the number 1 pick goes. He was drafted by the Oilers, God knows when, several years ago. And the Oilers kept getting all these number 1 picks. Eventually, Taylor Hall was traded to the Devils, New Jersey Devils, and guess what? They got the number 1 pick this year.
Right. But outside of that, I guess, trying to think of a solution to this, I would just like to see the ping pong balls. First off, it's fun to watch. Everybody loves the ping pong balls.
It's all for show and TV, man.
Right. But they're trying to elongate this and make this a whole hour special, which, I kind of wish it would just like be something before the NBA, whatever playoff game is going on that night, whatever. But so yeah, kind of fishy, but the Pelicans franchise for now is saved for now.
I mean, I'm going to touch on that one real quick because I was trying to type it out and I realized it's so much to type. This is good if the incentive, because you got to think of who won here for the Pelicans. They get Zion, presumably. Even if they lost Anthony Davis, now you can trade him for whatever assets you have. But with the NBA, and this also applies to the NHL, I don't know anything about the draft. I look to you two and BU to kind of even out when it comes to draft stuff. But if you have a small market team getting the first overall pick, this should at least incentivize owners in those small market teams to keep it going, and not do anything that could damage.
I mean, the Pelicans ownership. Remember, they're owned by the Saints too. So they're kind of
they're like medium mixed, I guess. But look at number 2, which would be Memphis.
Memphis, right?
Is very. I mean, when Justin Timberlake owns a share into you gotta be concerned because that's not Steve Ballmer, who has his waiter.
Richest owner in sports, yeah.
Yeah, who did try to spend everything, and the only reason why they made the big culture shift, I think, was Doc Rivers said, "Listen, we're not winning with these star-studded dudes."
Yeah, it was time. It was time.
Yeah, but I mean, look, it's more or less that I will subscribe to the conspiracy that you're doing this before you even have the megastar traded away. I've just seen it happen too many times because it's natural for a guy to leave and then that team sucks.
And
situation.
And there's this speculation now, like, the Los Angeles Lakers happen to get the number 4 pick. Anthony Davis wants to go to LA. You can trade the number 4 pick and really, like, the Pelicans can really load up.
Let's have fun with this.
Right.
Do you trade the 4th pick for him?
If
4, I mean, they need some guards, so you can get that cover up.
Yeah.
Especially with the backstabber.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kuzma kind of plays a little bit of both, like a small forward
right.
and guard.
I think, especially
right.
I think if the Pelicans, because they're not going to win now. They're not going to win now, even with Zion. So, because like even LeBron when he was drafted, took what? It took
bad years.
About 2 or 3 years before they finally made that finals in 2007. So the Pelicans would probably be a few years off. The Lakers do have a lot of young pieces, and if Zion really is the type of player that people think he's going to be, it would by that point you would if the Pelicans are smart, and we don't know that at this point,
especially with new
they could build something akin to what I'm seeing probably out in Milwaukee. Okay.
Yeah, that Milwaukee, and I would say the other comparison to it would essentially be just
Giannis wasn't even a number 1 pick. He was like a number 14 or something.
Yeah, he was low in. So I would say him in comparison, and then here's the other thing that will mess with you: old school Spurs. You get
right, let's say early 2000s Spurs.
Yeah, because I mean, granted they had the David Robinson to just kind of ease that transition, but he was just there to be a wall.
But basically that well-rounded, Manu, Tony, and Tim type of thing.
You have to think of what you have there is that presumably you get Zion, and we don't know the mega impact, but he's still a big boy, and he could at least get you some points and play defense. You have Drew Holiday still under contract, so you have a very competent
Right.
point guard who has above average play and
And
defense.
honestly, like that one season they were good with Anthony Davis and Marcus Cousins. You could see like
Drew Holiday was there too.
right, there was some sort of they were trying to build something, they just didn't know how to do it. So hopefully they'll get this is their round 2 essentially, because they drafted a superstar once, and supposedly we'll see if this is number 2 right here for them.
But give them a 4th pick, and I'll leave it at this. Give them the 4th pick. So you have those 2, and then you got a 4th guy, or the 4th pick in the draft, presumably another forward. They're kind of building, because remember they got rid of Mirotic and all that.
Right.
And you let the growing pains happen the first year, and then remember you got out 2 rookie contracts, which are still cheaper, so you can try to play a salary to get the competent bench guys.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of it in the long run. If the Pelicans trade with the Lakers have 3 more seasons under LeBron. Okay. Yeah. 3 more seasons. I don't think the Pelicans will compete between that time. We're still waiting what the Warriors are going to do during the offseason if KD does leave. And so everything's kind of open-ended. The Pelicans in 3 seasons could actually be right back in the mix if they do things the right way. Okay. What are you playing, by the way?
Oh, WWE.
Of course. All right.
We do with Pokemon.
Yeah.
The last show.
Speaking of, actually, we segue?
Yeah, let's do it.
Are you ready?
I mean, I can get into it. It's around 8 o'clock though, so I don't know if you want to.
Okay.
Do our
well, yeah, it's 8 o'clock, but I have 44 minutes on the thing. But we did start late, so that's true. But so we're. I mean, if you guys want to, we're actually doing some things a little differently, because we're gonna we added a segment called the Real MVP, and this is for one person and one person only. And I don't know who wants to explain why. Does anybody want to explain why?
We got our first patron.
Yes. Yes. We have a patron. Someone donated to us on Patreon and is willing to donate to us. I'm not going to say the amount. You can go to our actual I can say this to people now. Okay, patreon.com/Sports Goofs. That is the link. We are Sports Goofs everywhere. We have a patron, and this person was very generous, and I thanked them wholeheartedly, saying we were going to thank them. Charles, you said you were going to say something. I don't know if you have anything prepared, but we are very thankful. It is the first step to actually being, I don't know if you're a YouTuber or what have you. This is our step to being Pro Jared. If anybody knows who Pro Jared is, look it up. Just don't go to the images. Just avoid images, because you will not like that. But look it up on YouTube, and you'll be pleasantly amused, intrigued. But that's a whole other aside. Sorry. Go ahead, Charles. I'm sorry.
Listen, we don't want your money. Do we need your money? No, but we will always take free money. But we just want to take a nice shout out to our main man, Awesome Jacket Dude, because
this guy is awesome. One, his profile picture is a picture of Kirby with sunglasses.
Yeah, so there goes that. Because I could wear a jacket and look lame, because I would just wear that 1990s soccer mom denim, because that's all I was raised on. But this guy, when you see his jacket, it's mythological. I haven't really seen it, but I'm told that your eyeballs will burn out. I'm told that when he whispers in your ear, you become putty and you get chills. I'm told that, he's the reason why Haley's Comet comes here every 75 years, because she just heard that man is the best of the best. And I don't want to say if he had a wrestling persona, but if he was a wrestling persona, he'd be Bret Hart, because he's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. He's so cool that he even lets you touch the jacket every now and then. That's not an innuendo. Don't be pervy. So thank you to Awesome Jacket Dude for thinking that we, and when I mean we, mostly Francisco, because he does all the work, is special enough to take your hard-earned money. So I think that's always great, because I'll donate $1 to charity. I usually go with, sick kids with cancer or like, Humane Society, stuff like that, St. Jude's, what have you. But for someone said, I'm going to give away my money for those charities to 3 guys who just want to keep their sanity going by talking about sports and games, I appreciate you.
All right, Andrew, you have any things to say to Awesome Jacket Dude?
I mean, there's not really much more I can add that hasn't been said, but thank you. We feel like we're actually kind of not making a difference. That's I'm not sure what kind of difference we're making.
I haven't saved the sea turtle yet, dude, so I don't know if I'm making a difference here.
But people are enjoying the content. I mean, we speak to all you guys.
Honestly, I'll say this about the making a difference. We will, like, the $10. Okay, gosh darn it, I mentioned the amount of money, but whatever. It's still generous. It's still something we appreciate. It's still something we're gonna put to good use. Honestly, I want to buy a capture card so we can, game on here and actually.
Our original.
That was our original goal.
Our original goal,
right.
And we actually did it for a couple of episodes.
Right.
Was we were running an emulator on Francisco's computer.
But my computer is about to explode.
Right, as well as doing the show. His computer is not designed for that. It can do one or the other, not both.
Right.
So with a capture card, we'd be able to move beyond emulators. You can
bring your PS4 or my Switch or
better for us personally, since we've always focused on old school sports games.
Yeah, I can
we
bring
can
my
I have an Xbox. I have an original Xbox.
Right.
And a 360. So that means
NCAA football.
NCAA football 06, which I think is one of, if not the best version in the franchise.
Even the
NHL hits,
NHL 94, NBA Jam, NBA Streets. I have V3, the one with Mario in it.
So there's a million things.
Some of obviously WWE. We got to play those as well.
So having a capture card really opens up a whole new element to the show for us that we had hoped to do at one point.
And the making a difference part, when I buy from Amazon, I don't know if anybody knows this, but if you put in smile.amazon.com into your browser, whatever you buy on Amazon, or at least most of the stuff that you buy, especially for Prime, part of that Amazon, part of the proceeds will go to a charity of your choice. So my charity of choice is the wildlife corridor, and I guess I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but it's a conservation effort to save the Florida Panther, the actual Florida Panther, and even though the team probably does need saving as well.
The team does need a bit of saving as well.
But we did thank them earlier, so don't worry, Joel Quimbo will take care of that. Helps create corridors for the Florida Panther to roam and not get run over on Alligator Alley and I-75. So it's a great initiative, but we'll definitely, if whatever we get, we'll do it through that. So we do some good,
Exactly. In a kind of roundabout way, we are making a difference in the world.
So awesome jacket, dude. You are awesome, dude.
Exactly.
You're the real MVP.
Yeah, and I honestly I wanted to put Kevin Durant here, but I'm actually a fan of Kevin Durant, even though he kind of pisses everybody off. But he's just like me. He goes on Twitter and and roasts people and does little Twitter wars with everybody. Right. That's he's got millions of dollars, man. That guy has emotions and feelings. Sometimes you go on Twitter and you call out Customs and Border Patrol, okay? Which is what I did today. So I probably should watch my back. But don't worry, Vladimir Putin will take care of that because he's watching our stream now up in Russia. That was a tangent. What was I saying? So there was a book that just came out for Kevin Durant. I forgot who wrote it, but basically, talking about his life and whatever, and he came from like squalor and all that stuff, and now he's huge. And when he thanked his mom when he won the MVP, people like made memes out of it.
Right.
Even I made a meme out of it. I made Doug a meme out of it for law school.
Right, but he did. It was for one of his classes, right?
Right.
But if you take all that aside, it was really a touching moment.
It was. And so when I heard the guy who wrote the book explaining how the change Kevin Durant has done since he left Oklahoma City, and now he's kind of like a bad guy to a lot of people. He's rubbed people the wrong way. He's rubbed the media the wrong way, even though the stuff that he says about the media, I wholeheartedly agree with him with. Especially being in locker rooms and just be like, why are you asking the question? It's so obvious. But so I didn't want to put the meme there because that was a touching moment, and it really beats. And that's probably, maybe he felt so hurt when people made a meme out of that. So I won't put it up because of that. So Kevin Durant, if you want to donate to us on our Patreon page, you're more than welcome to. Just saying.
And then you would also be in our real MVP segment.
Right. And okay, we won't go off on that. Guys, do you have any non-sponsors? Since we're already here. I do. Okay.
I actually have one, believe it or not.
Okay. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Alrighty.
John Boyce. John Boyce, man. He is the king of random. But he has a job that I would take in a heartbeat if someone offered it to me. I love research.
Got his Twitter account up on the screen right now.
I love doing research. I don't know why. Believe it or not, I look up and research just the most random things to unwind. I'll research. I can't even off the top of my head think of anything, but ask me to research something and I will get it for you. I've always had the gene, but I really honed it in journalism school and in law school, where it's essentially a necessity. So the fact that his job is researching just the most random things. His current series is the endangerment of Bob.
It's up here on the screen. The Bob Emergency, a study of athletes named Bob.
I haven't seen the second. It's a 2-part series. I didn't get a chance to see part 2 yet, which was released today. But part 1, the premise of it is I don't know how he was able to, and more importantly, how he even came up with the concept. Part 2 is good. I'm gonna check it out this evening when I get home. So for those who don't know, the concept is he went back to like the 1890s, maybe even further back, and he's kept a track of every single Bob, not Robert.
Every athlete.
Every athlete.
Regardless of sport.
Regardless of sport.
Even wrestling, Charles.
Regardless of sport, regardless of level of sport. I mean, it has to be professional. No, that's not true, because he did college football as well. College sports.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But the main sports, basically. Like, he's not going to go down to, like, the AHL, maybe. I don't know.
I think he's mentioned minor league names, but
right.
but he's covered everything.
So he created a graph of how many Bobs there have been, and at least in part 1, he said the pinnacle, the most Bobs around, it was almost like 600 Bobs in the mid to late 1960s. And it's been a steady decline to the point where we're only at 9 Bobs right now, or something. We're in the single digits. So it is the Bob emergency that we're losing so many Bobs. And there have been a lot good Bobs, like me from baseball background, Bob Gibson, Bob Feller, Bob Lemon, Bob Brenly.
Yeah, and but not Bob Kraft. Well, he doesn't go by Bob. He actually goes by Robert.
Right.
And he does mention that in his second part. You have to see it.
Well, at least in the first part, he said he's only accepting people who go by Bob.
Right.
So Roberts need not apply. Even if their name is Robert, even that if that is their official name, If they go by Bob, they apply.
Yeah, he's the furthest thing from an athlete.
That is true.
Unless he was doing some athletic things in that tape that we can't see now. I don't know. Do you have any insight on that, Charles? No?
Oh, am I allowed to?
Go ahead. Fine.
It's just playing the game of who. You're killing me here. You're killing me. Just call it who finishes last. There you go.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. You can leave that to your imagination.
So, yeah, my non-sponsor's got to be John Boy's. Who cares? I graduated law school. Who cares anymore? I first found out about him when he did his 17776 series, which was the state of football in the year 17,776. It's a mix of read and watch, mostly read. It is totally worth your time. I swear you will love it. That's how I first found out about him, and to the point why I bring up law school is that in the middle of one of my 1L classes, we were allowed to use laptops, and
I'm assuming it was torts.
No, it was spring semester.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I couldn't care less, or I think it was 1L. It could have been something else. But I couldn't care less about the class because 17776 was there. It had just been released, I think, like the last episode. And I said, screw this class. I am reading the finale of this. So in the middle of what I presume was an important law school class, I'm going through and reading this series, and I got the feels, man. The end of that series gave me the feels. I'm hoping that he does like a 177776 just to see how it plays out. But seriously, go check him out. His Twitter handle is right there.
Yeah, John_Boyce.
And
there's like a running joke on every time SB Nation posts a video.
Where's John Boyce?
Exactly, because he's I don't know if JonTron is posting more stuff now, but he's kind of like the JonTron of sports, where he doesn't post regularly at all, but when he does, it's a big one.
He is the equivalent of an investigative reporter, investigative journalist. Their job, they don't output much. Most reporters are expected to do X amount of stories a week. So they're judged on a day-to-day basis. Investigative reporters are on a month-to-month scale. He is the investigative reporter, investigative journalist of sports media, because he was off the air, quote-unquote, for several months before he came back and did the search for the world's saddest punt,
right,
which was released a couple of months ago, and he did a whole mathematics system to determine what is statistically, by his method, the worst punt in the 21st century in the NFL.
So yeah, he really is a superstar, but he's actually the creative director. So any video that you're watching about SB Nation that's kind of interesting, like Collapse and all stuff, he probably has his hands in it. So even though he's not there, he's there. Yeah. So John Boyce. All right, Charles, do you have somebody?
Yeah, I can do this real quickly.
Yay.
So the month of May is just extremely busy for me, mostly because it's holidays and birthdays. 2 weeks ago was Mother's Day, or somewhere around that line. Like a weekend change. It was Mother's Day. One of my close friends' birthday was on the 17th. Then my mother's birthday was on the 19th. So when it gets hectic, I know I'm going to go a little bit broke. But as an attorney, I feel that I have to kind of feel compelled to get you more than just a basic card that I made from a scrap note if you're a special person. So I typically frequent one place, and that's Hallmark. So my non-sponsor of the week is Hallmark. That gives you the variety of stuff that you need because you live in a podunk town like I do that doesn't have much variety when you're in the gift-giving sections. They got stuff that I like to give gifts for, the ornaments for Christmas. My sister loves peanuts, so I always get her like a little live bubble of that. get some cool ornaments too if you like weird stuff like I do to put on a Christmas tree, and of course the cards for every occasion. As grim humored as I have, to for a raunchy happy birthday thing, a family oriented, happy birthday card, graduations, get well soon, sorry for your losses, which make me feel weird, but hey, people think a card's appropriate for that. Who am I to tell them not to get one? In fact, I'll tell them to go to Hallmark to get the best damn sorry for your loss sympathy card out there. It's just the place to go. Plus, I got to use a coupon, sign up for the Hallmark Crown membership thing. You save some money, and those cards are typically about $5, $6, $7, $8. Save $2, $3. Hey, it's better than just getting 99 cents one. And what you can write in there is great and monumental, but at least the people that see will recognize as a Hallmark card, and maybe you care about them a little bit more than just going to the Dollar Tree and get the cute little puppy or cat thing. Step it up a game a little bit.
Oh no, I'm looking here on the screen. They got a little wiener dog one, and it pops out. It's 3D. That's pretty cool. I like that. They have a sushi one. This one's fun. Oh, they're all pop-ups. I like that.
Because look, if you're going to give them just a basic gift card like I do 9 out of 10 times, at least give them something that they're like, all right, it's something different besides a gift card insert holder. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
So Hallmark, we'll go with promo code birthdays.
Yay. Okay. Oh, this is fun. I haven't seen. Wow. These pop-up ones are really fun. I got to get these for my nephew when it's his birthday.
There you go.
Yeah, he'll like that. Okay, well, there's a dog with his head out the window of a car with sunglasses. That one's fun. Okay, sorry. Let me do mine. Yesterday, guys, I was in the city of Houston, Texas, home of the Astros, the Rockets, and the Texans. And I got out of court, was done for the day, had about maybe 3 or 4 hours to kill in Houston, Texas. Didn't know what to do, so I went on good old Yelp, and I'm like, you know what? Let's learn about the history of Houston, Texas. And I'm like, nah, that's too boring. Let's learn about the history of the world. So I'm like, I want to learn about the history of the world. So I decided to go to the Houston Museum of Natural Science. And the reason I went there is their massive collection of dinosaurs. My friends, I love dinosaurs. I've loved them since I was a kid. I still love dinosaurs. Honestly, I won't mention anything about my case, but let's just say the dinosaurs put me in a very, very good mood afterwards. There's nothing in this world that cannot be solved by dinosaurs, really. Really nothing. Everything could be solved if we just had more dinosaurs, and that's
for meteors.
Except for meteors. That is the one thing that dinosaurs cannot prevent. But hopefully somebody will make Jurassic Park and life will find a way, because I'm hoping that dinosaurs do come back to life, and so I can have one, and I can train one, and I can just have it and just have a dinosaur, because I like birds. And the reason I like birds is because birds are the closest things that we have to dinosaurs at this point. So the Houston Museum was actually really nice. They had like this collection of gems, like really expensive looking gems, like pay off my student loans gems that I wish I could have been able to take, but I cannot because that's illegal. They had a nice collection. They had this nice section. I don't know if anybody's been to those museums where they have like the animals, like the exhibits that you see, like animals and stuff. They have this exhibit of like Texas wildlife, and it's just all these animals that you find in Texas, stuffed, obviously, or not stuffed. I don't think they're real, but models of these animals. So that was a nice area to see. They had a giant marlin. Like they had something about like the Houston Museum actually has like this program where they research the migration patterns, or I guess the movement patterns of billfish. Billfish which includes marlins, sailfish, and swordfish. Basically, fishes that can stab you. Because apparently marlins are one of the fastest fish in the ocean out there, I think along with like the mako shark. They cover a lot of ground. They're huge. They're huge fish. So I think they said something that the marlins can actually tell them more about the environment of, especially the other fishes around the certain areas. So They're tracking Marlins. I'm glad they're not. I'm not going to make fun of the Marlins. Gosh darn it, man! I know they're actually winning right now, 3-1. So, it was nice to see because I was actually wearing my Marlins gear from the game. I actually wore the shirt while I was touring that museum. So I was going there. People were looking at me. I'm like, yes, I am the Marlins fan that you hear about, the one that you hear about. And it was a great museum, very nice. They have this butterfly exhibit, just a ton of butterflies if you're into that as well. And honestly, and they actually have a really good food court, which is pretty interesting as well. So, and it's surrounded by all these other museums and this like huge public park there. So it's a really nice area to visit. It's in, I don't know, Houston's a huge city. It's massive. It's so widespread. Like that's the thing that kind of put me at unease, to be honest. But
I'm trying to see if I can get some of my RCFB mod friends who are from Houston to come in and chat with us really quick. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get in time.
Yeah, but the city, I ate at this place called Fat Bao, which is baos are like these buns, these Asian buns, and they like put stuff in it. And they're really good. If you haven't been to like an Asian fusion restaurant, they probably have it. Those were really good. But yeah, the Houston Museum of Natural Sciences promo code Life Finds a Way.
All right, so what should we cover next?
I
feel like we're obligated to Charles. Not obligated, but we need a dose of the cage here, man.
Especially because I actually was like watching, like I wasn't watching WWE, but I was watching the reaction to Raw last night, and from Twitter, and I was sending them to you and getting your reactions from them because Charles, there's a new belt out there, a new championship belt. What is that about?
All right, so
because it looks awful. Like design-wise, it looks awful.
When you come into the cage, you're going to have a miserable time because it's steel on flesh being rubbed around. It's basically like going to a doctor's appointment and you got to get your prostate checked because this week's a rough one. It's a rough one and it's a good one, and you come in walking away with a little lube falling out. Vince McMahon at this time of the year panics. I think I preface it with each segment during this time of the year, but I will always start with, as you know, wrestling is scripted. It's not scripted. Because you never really know who's winning or losing. It's a dance with people in singlets and other ring attire going at it, and it's a soap opera with barbarism. But every now and then, there's this sick, twisted little child telling his mother that he wants to see this happen, and the fans and everybody else in the Coliseum is like, we don't want that to happen, but there's this tiny little emperor with short little feet and stubby fingers saying, no, but I want it. And he disregards everything in the Coliseum, the fan base, forgetting who's paying as patrons. We never do, but he does. That little man is Vince and Kenny McMahon. So Vince is panicking because right now he's about to sell to Fox completely. I mean, it's done, but the transitions come where SmackDown's going to go in October. XFL's coming around the horizon. Raw's around, but Raw and SmackDown are having low numbers. So Vince says, how can I get more money? And then we are in the background, including myself, saying, logical booking? He's like, nah. Storylines that make sense? Nah. Give guys time to shine? Nah. Let's introduce a new title belt. And then I'm like, oh, this could work. Are you going to introduce like the television title that was in WCW?
People were mentioning that on Twitter.
Yeah, because the TV title was, as you heard, defended on TV, hardly on pay-per-views. It was used to kind of give guys who were in, because there's 3 stages of the card: main event card, mid card, low card. Low cards are usually your jobbers or your entry guys, stuff that you see in the dark matches and what have you. But you can use the TV title to kind of get those transition guys from a low card to mid card to main event card, just to have them on screen. The best mid card guy I think of the TV title would have been appropriate is Cesaro. He is a main event level talent that Vince never wanted to push in the main event, so he's always putting him in mid card or putting him in like the tag team, whatever. But instead, Vince decided to say, hey, let's introduce this new title, and we're going to have Mick Foley out there. And people go, is it going to be a hardcore title? Because, you know, Mick was a hardcore champion. He was the first ever hardcore champion in WWE. You're kind of right, but you're kind of wrong. It's the bastardized version. That's the only time you're gonna hear me curse today. Bastardized version of the hardcore title. We were introduced to the 24/7 title, as Francisco has in the background. The only thing that comes from the hardcore lineage was that there's no hardcore matches because we're in the PG era. But what you have is the title is defended 24/7, which is something that WWE did in its heyday when it was still WF. So this title is going to be utilized for both brands, also the NXT, 205 Live, NXT UK, social media, might make Twitter feeds, Facebook feeds interesting. It is god awful. It might as well be called the jobber title because guys who are really only going to go for it are guys who aren't doing anything or low-end dudes who can't get the crowd over. Look at that belt. It looks like part of the Green Power Rangers equipment. It's like someone took it from Tommy Oliver and then decided to put freaking Flavor Flav's input on it.
It's such an underwhelming design.
No,
it's like, okay, we got to design this belt. Crap. Okay, I'll open up Microsoft Word and kind of just put 24/7 on there. I don't know.
Oh no, they just took it from the Waffle House sign.
Someone opened GIMP. They opened GIMP. I think that was the. I think that's the cheap. I think free open source. Photoshop program, non-Photoshop program, and there's like, this
GNU image manipulation program.
Right.
That is, I love that thing. It has.
They do too, apparently.
What's that?
They do too.
Apparently. Oh yeah, apparently so. Yeah, because it looks like it was made out of that. Because that's the stuff people use for DeviantArt. Mm-hmm. This is a DeviantArt belt. They should just call that the DeviantArt belt. Okay. Guys, I'll make a group, and you guys can look at my Sonic OCs.
It looks like something that a group project made in middle school just to be cool, man. Like, I hate it. I hate it so much. You could have called it the Chaos title.
But please explain to me, what is the purpose of this?
Because Raw is 3 hours long. Ratings are tough. Instead of giving compelling storylines and logical booking, we're going to use this belt to be a comedy belt. There's already been 3 champions established because you control it 24/7. So they start the introduction with a gold rush, basically. Whoever gets the belt out of the ring is the champion. Titus O'Neil, of course it would be Titus. Love the guy, but Vince is never going to push him. Gets the belt, comes out. Then all of a sudden, they did me wrong, man. They did my boy, Bobby Roode, wrong, who is now Robert Roode with his Magnum PI mustache, and have him come out of nowhere and then roll up on Titus O'Neil to win to get the 3 count for this belt under the 24/7 concept within 3 minutes of it being in its inception. And then later on like the WWE.com website, R-Truth, whom I love, who you saw was the black man with the title belt on there with the dreads and everything. Great guy, great character. He now wins it. It's going to be done for a comedy, and it's Vince McMahon comedy, which means it's going to be cringeworthy, which means someone's going to get pinned while they're taking a drop into the toilets. Yeah, I can tell you it's going to happen. Some guy is going to be right next to a farting man in a toilet, and they're going to get pinned 1, 2, 3. And that's going to be wasting time because it's tough to produce all those hours of television. The 3rd hour is notably the bad part where everything drops, especially with the basketball playoffs. And they even have Mick Foley kind of like break kayfabe and be like, the 3rd hour Raw is going to get a little grittier. It's going to get a little bit more raw. I'm like, hey, man, I'm not comfortable with this. What are you doing? So this is all just a ploy to ease up ratings. And, the whole Occam's razor concept is not there for this twisted little demented child who's telling the fans of the Coliseum, I don't care about your opinions.
Yeah, people are like, I'm reading, like, I put on Twitter the reactions. Some people are okay with it. Some people, there's a few people that like it. Some people, here's a comment from this person. Okay, it'll make it somewhat more interesting,
It's a TV show at the end of the day.
Here, people, dear God, that new belt, they're so desperate. What if instead they made it? This is a guy's suggestion. Made a journeyman championship where they'd have to defend on every brand at least once every 30 days. I mean, that's an idea someone posted there.
We called it an Iron Man championship. And to be an Iron Man, you always got to be ready. Something better than a 24/7 rule.
Yeah.
It sounds like you took the idea from what those hippie kids like. Let's go do this.
They might as well just make a Fortnite belt if they wanted to.
Yeah, pretty much. Dapped out. Old man yells at the cloud. And I hate it because you want to know why I hate it? Because I'm talking about it. I'm amused by it, but I'm against it. It's all things. It doesn't feel right.
I See it on screen. I have it backwards on screen because the WWE really likes to copyright strike us. So this is one of the ways to kind of get around that. But I'm just looking at their Twitter or Twitter reactions here, as people are putting gifs of like just disappointment in the idea, or at least the design of the thing, which is just awful. It's just really awful.
You can feel Vince panicking, and the problem is that when the guy from the top who oversees everything, who has all that autonomous, near tyrannical control, is making these decisions that are just not fun and good for the brand and the program, you can't topple him. You might have to pull a Jon Snow, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Triple H, do it.
Here's a suggestion from somebody. I don't know if you'd agree with this. They should let the wrestlers book their own angles and matches for the 24/7 title, give them creative reign to build up interest in the belt.
Never would happen.
No.
Because WCW tried that, and that was a little bit of the downfall.
Okay.
Here's the thing. This is a nothing title, so you could really do what you want. So that's the benefit of it. There is really no story aside from a comedy.
Okay, this one right here. It's just it's a photo of a little kid, but it says, "Meet the second grader who designed the WWE's new 24/7 belt."
There you go. I mean, you know what would have been if you told me, Charles, you got to give me a new title, but you got to make it interesting, and you can't use the TV title, and you still have to take in the whole wild card rule where some people from Raw can go to SmackDown and vice versa. I would have said intergender tag team titles. And one woman versus the other man or woman, because they already did that in a mixed match challenge that they had on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first season winner was Asuka and The Miz, and the second season winner was R-Truth and Carmella. Because that way, you can use the people who aren't being used, and then people you consider to be jobbers on something that actually has a competitive spirit. And instead of doing 24/7, they just have to defend it on every brand. Yeah. Because the women's tag team belts are kind of a joke, no offense to women and all the progressive stuff. It's just Vince doesn't give them TV time. And if you don't get TV time, you aren't important. And if you're a title holder who holds the titles and you don't get TV time and you don't get a match at the main pay-per-view, like the Money Event, like the poor Iconics didn't get, guess what you are? An afterthought.
Okay. So all in all, this belt is just a filler in a sense. Just a filler.
It's a nothing. It's a comedy title, but they don't want to call it that.
Yeah, somebody actually posted that same thought, and then finally, one last mention here from Twitter. Something that you have been saying since the beginning. Vince is slowly ruining the WWE. Triple H needs to take over and turn it around.
Oh yeah, we're gonna wrestling's a soap opera.
This is from Ariana Hall, so you should probably like tweet her, maybe.
Ariana Hall.
Yeah.
You know, right now I'm saying I agree with you. Yeah. I'm waiting for Triple H to pedigree Vince, the bathroom stall, and then pin him for the 24/7 title.
Now here's something I'm curious to get your take on.
Yes.
Vince McMahon just sold $200 million worth of shares or stock to fund the XFL.
Yes.
Do you think? I mean, dude is still insanely wealthy. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a billionaire or something.
He is, but he's on like the low end billionaire status.
Just a couple $1 billion.
He's in the club, okay. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Do you think with him moving on to the XFL again, do you think that might be kind of a canary in the coal mine, if you will, that he might be looking to life beyond the WWE?
No, I think he just wanted to go back to where he fell because he's a man of pride. Because remember, he still ran the XFL and the WWF back when it was WWF, when it was in existence. Tell me if this gets continued past 1 year, then we'll see. Because, I think this stuff isn't going to 2020. So really, it's got to be about 2022 when it's even contemplated. Because after that, you got your first 2 years of expectation. If it's too much of a burden, I would imagine. Here's the thing you got to remember about Vince. He's not just owner, you guys. Not just CEO. He's the main producer, a main writer, head of creative. He's the guy who's signing checks. He's meeting the guys. He's making determinations or planning out stories. What he's essentially doing is watching WWE product almost 27, not 24/7, and then working out at the gym. So, that is his life investment. With the XFL, I'm sure there's an oversight to it, but that's why you have your commissioner, Oliver Luck, to be doing a good portion of work. Vince is just probably going to be there for boardroom meetings and to show up in games on the broadcast level so people can be like, hey, good job, man, high five, down low, too slow kind of stuff. Vince is still going to be a creative force until he says, I can't do this anymore.
Okay. All right, so that was a good romp through the cage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I'm battered, bruised, but I'll be ready next time.
Okay. Andrew, I don't know if you race. Do we have Fulmer Cup stuff?
We do.
Oh, okay. So let's go there then.
Standard disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
So, for anyone that doesn't know, the Fulmer Cup is an annual quote-unquote competition that is run by RCFB, the college football subreddit. Again, this is not the official podcast. This is not officially sanctioned.
We could be if they wanted us to be.
We could be.
I'll sell my soul for $1.
Exactly. So anyway, this is not officially sanctioned by RCFB or the Fulmer Cup, but it's just fun to keep a track of. So since we last discussed the Fulmer Cup, we've had 2 arrests. First was Brian Edwards, who was a defensive back at the University of Florida. He was arrested on a battery charge. A couple of weeks ago, I lost the date. It was about 2 weeks ago. He got into an argument with his girlfriend.
Wait, what school did you say from?
UF.
Oh God, my nipples are hard.
Francisco here is an FSU alum. The rivalry is strong.
Oh yeah, I love it.
So anyway, he got into an argument and a fight with his girlfriend. Next up is here we go. I'm going to butcher this name. I apologize. His name, I'm guessing, is Sewo Alonilua.
Okay.
He's a running back at TCU. Was arrested on felony drug charges last Tuesday, I believe. 3rd-degree felony charges of possession of drug paraphernalia and possession of a controlled substance weighing more than 1 gram and less than 4 grams.
That'll do it.
So, nothing really spectacular this week in comparison to what we've seen earlier in the season.
Most likely weed, I'm assuming. Marijuana. Most likely marijuana?
Could be.
Yeah.
Well,
it's usually. Unless it was something more hardcore. Maybe a Tyreek Evans sort of situation.
Could be. They didn't specify what the drug or drugs were. Who knows?
But regardless, he's on board. He's on the board. TCU's on the board.
Kind of. Well, yeah, TCU is indeed on the board. So, more fun. Big 12 is on the board. SEC is having a fun time this year. I think they're the most penalized conference so far. Just off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
So we're roughly about halfway through the Fulmer Cup season.
That's right, yeah.
It begins the second the national championship ends and runs to... Because something it just before. And then it runs to the second that the first college football regular season game kicks off, which this year I think is in Australia. I think
yeah, it's something overseas.
Yeah, there's this new Wang Jangle, whatever, Doobob, whatever you want to call it, thing called Week 0, which is 1 or 2 football games.
They stole that from comic books.
Right. It's a game that is played the week before the traditional opening week where everyone goes. It's almost like I guess it's the equivalent of the series that MLB does in Japan every year.
Right. Like this year, the A's and the Mariners started like 2 weeks before everybody else did.
Right. That's the equivalent, except it's 1 week and it's like 1 or 2 games. And then the traditional opening day is the next week.
But why Australia? I don't know why.
I don't know.
Could look it up, but I don't feel like it. We'll probably discuss it as it comes up closer.
Something I actually wanted to mention.
Wanted to do international outreach. Okay, Pac-12 wanted to do international outreach. That makes sense. Yeah. Big boosters, all types of stuff. It could work. I mean, each league is trying to do that and, just to spread football. Just looking at... I don't think there's an Aussie game, but, I mean, there's the game the Irish play in Ireland and stuff like that, but... okay, so, but for the Fulmer Cup, that's
it for Fulmer Cup, yeah.
Okay. All right, then. So, and you can look that up and see if there's something, but I'm just going to go down the rundown for because there's an important thing happening right now. The St. Louis Blues, who have scored, I think, like 8 unanswered goals so far against the Sharks, dating back to Game 4, are up 2-0 in St. Louis after the first period. Once again, if the Blues win, they will move on to the Stanley Cup Final to face off against, oh God. Yeah, no offense, BU, but the Boston Bruins. We'll discuss that. Right now, the Bucks and the Raptors are heated up here, 27-24 in the first out in the place where the Maple Leafs lose every year. The Yankees are up 9-3 against the Orioles because the Orioles are awful. The Blue Jays are 6-0 against the Red Sox in Toronto. Nobody's at that game. The Dodgers are up 3-0 on the Rays out in Tropicana Field. The Marlins are still winning 3-2 against the Tigers up in Detroit. The Tigers are also awful this year, so the Marlins actually do have a shot at beating them.
It's crazy because, as I was pointing out, in our in chat or whatever that we have on Facebook, the Marlins went at least 24 innings without scoring a run.
Right, and now they're unstoppable.
Right, and they may have gone further than that. I stopped count at Game 3 or whatever. I stopped count at the end of
the series against the Rays.
Right.
So, the Marlins are up 3-2. The Mets and the Nationals are 1-1 out in Queens. The Mets are also a train wreck at this point, but in a different way than the Marlins. And the Reds are up 3-0 against the Brewers. That's all the scores that I see on my screen. But I guess we can segue to hockey because it's the image that I used here. It's the TD Garden out in Boston, home of the Bruins, even though it has half of the Celtics and I thought it was just a cool image that has the Celtics and the Bruins playing surfaces at the same time.
That is really cool.
So to my disappointment, the bunch of jerks just couldn't do it for one more series. Getting swept by the Boston Bruins in 4 games. The last 2 games, the Hurricanes did the best they could, but especially that Game 3, gosh darn it, Tuukka Rask. He won that game for the Bruins because the Hurricanes gave him everything and could not beat Tuukka Rask, thus putting them up 3-0 and kind of basically sealing their fate, even though in hockey, coming back from 3-0 has happened very, very often. It just wasn't going to happen this time. So as the title of our 26th episode once again says, I said Warriors, because the Golden State Warriors are back in the finals again, and Boston again.
Yeah, the Warriors, they made history. This is the 5th straight season that they've been to the NBA Finals, and I think it's the first time
since the 70s,
like the
I think.
60s or 70s.
Yeah, probably the Boston Celtics. So
right, probably
another Boston team.
So they have I forget what the word for it is, but I forget what it is, but either way, they are just stacked beyond belief when it comes to their roster. I would love for them to lose in the finals because, I don't know, dynasties, man, they get annoying, boring at some point. But I don't see how you can stop them. the the Trailblazers were swept by them. They had at least a 15-point lead in games 2, 3, and 4.
Again, from BU, Bruins have been in all of 3 Stanley Cup Finals this century. Last one being in 2013. I look at their own Golden State's level. No. I'm not. I don't think Andrew's even saying that.
No.
But you got. Sorry.
I don't. Boston,
Boston as a city is on a
right.
very long.
That's
streak.
the thing. Boston is like in a. It was the way you said it. I apologize. My rant was more directed toward Golden State.
Yeah, but we'll get to Golden State.
Right.
So, but let's stick with the Bruins for now because the BU's right. I think the Bruins they won the final in 2011. They lost to the Blackhawks in 2013. I remember Jaromir Jagr was on that squad, and now they're back.
Right. Yeah, my big thing against Boston though is Brad Marchand. He really ticks me off.
I mean, it's just the way it is. It's just the way he is. It's just obviously you have guys like once again Tuukka Rask, who I think really did.
No, dude,
that game 3 was the turning point of the series, if there was a turning point, because Boston had won the first 2 games very convincingly, but game 3 was the one shot I believe that Hurricanes had of grabbing momentum, and try as they did, and they really did, they could not do it. So
here's an interesting point, though. I just want to bring up really quickly. People are thinking just by sheer pattern that Boston is going to get swept in the Stanley Cup Finals. Here's why. The New York Islanders swept the Pittsburgh Penguins in round 1. The Islanders were swept by Carolina in round 2. Carolina was swept in the conference semifinals. Carolina was swept by Boston in the conference finals. Does this mean that the winner of the St. Louis San Jose series will go ahead and sweep Boston, thus continuing the trend? Who knows?
Hockey's weird.
Hockey is very weird.
Hockey's very weird, so it is very, very much. The hockey gods are very weird.
I gotta say, putting aside my personal feelings about the Bruins, well, Brad Marchand really, and really just the city of Boston or its
the sports, the city's fine.
Right,
I'm going to the city tomorrow.
The city is fine.
So I better say it's fine.
Just their sports teams. The Patriots win like every year. Enough success, Boston. Let's give other cities a chance here. But it would be so fantastic just in terms of the celestial sports realm if Boston got swept. It's like a chain of title going all the way back to round 1.
Right. Look, the Boston Bruins have done a fantastic job of rebuilding on the fly.
Yes.
Because people thought 2 seasons ago that they were essentially like they were going to be like the Detroit Red Wings are right now. Boston had a good run of stellar or at least competitive teams beginning, I guess, just when they won that the Cup in 2011 and then moving forward. But then, as guys were getting older, as they were getting salary cap issues, this and that, they had to obviously shed some guys, trade away some guys. But they've done a fantastic job scouting and drafting that and making some trades that they have rebuilt on the fly. The season that people thought they were going to be awful, lo and behold, they make the playoffs and defeat the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs every season.
Right.
The Leafs, who have tried so very hard to be good again, and they can't get past Boston, who figured out a way to do this, and now it's culminated back to the Stanley Cup final. A final that people thought they would be competitive, but they didn't think I don't know how many people picked Boston to be the finalists.
Probably none.
I think most people picked probably either Washington or Tampa. or even Pittsburgh. Well, I don't know about Pittsburgh, honest, but
definitely, it's hard to believe.
someone would have been like a number 3 or number 4
Right.
choice.
This is probably the craziest NHL playoffs in as far as I can go back. I mean, all of the top divisional seeds were eliminated. Freaking Tampa Bay was swept after a historic season that we haven't seen in nearly over 2 decades. I think, and then Boston shows up sweeping the Carolina Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Finals. This has been a crazy playoffs, and I just love it, man.
Storylines are good. Out in the West, because we still have Game 6 right now. St. Louis wins. A really great story for them as well, because they were out of the playoffs in January. They were awful, much like they were basically in the same position the Panthers were, but then they just got hot, and they
all hail the power of Gloria.
I think they won like 10 games in a row or something like that. 20 points right there, shot them right back into playoff contention, and they get one of the Central Division seeds, and then they start winning. They beat the Jets, they beat the Stars, 2 of their own division rivals, and now they're on the cusp of beating the San Jose Sharks, unless the Sharks kind of wake up in this in the second period or third period. And it's hockey. Once again, weird things happen. The Sharks could score 2 more goals, and they could have like a triple overtime game and then head back to San Jose for Game 7. Still could be possible, but the St. Louis Blues have done a fantastic job. They have a goalie finally after all these years. It would be nice to see a superstar like Vladimir Tarasenko in the Stanley Cup final, have his shot at it. The Blues have not won a Stanley Cup final. They last made the Stanley Cup finals back in, I think it was that 1970 season, because the weird thing with the Blues were first created. They were part of that next 6 series of teams, of expansion teams, like the Penguins and the Flyers.
I think they were the first expansion teams after the original 6.
Right after the original 6 era, it was like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Oakland / California, whatever you want to call them, Minnesota, I think the North Stars, and the St. Louis Blues. And the Blues, by virtue of being in the same division as all these brand new teams who just try as they did, they had to work with what they got with the talent pool. Those teams were just awful compared to the original 6 teams that they were facing in the other division. The Blues, I guess, some people think by default, won their division / conferences for their first 3 years of existence.
And by the way, you were correct. So they won in the 67-68 season.
The 68-69 and 70.
And you were correct. The last time they were in the Stanley Cup Finals was the 69-70 season, where they played the Boston Bruins.
Right. So the Blues are, and they haven't made the finals since. Correct. And the feeling is that they made it to the final by default. I think their last season, that's when they realigned, and so I think they were in the division with the Chicago Blackhawks, but the Blackhawks were awful at that point. So they still won and made it there, but they were just absolutely bodied by the teams that they were facing, including the Bruins, who I think swept them in that series. And that was the famous ending to that final with Bobby Orr flipping into the air. Yep. Which is one of the fantastic.
It's an iconic moment in not just hockey history, sports.
Yeah, just iconic photo. It's the statue outside of the TD Garden for him that honors him, and so it would be nice to see the Blues finally making it to the final, in a sense by their own merit, not just by default.
I still am holding out hope that San Jose can pull this off.
And that's the other storyline.
Because San Jose has a roster full of veterans. I think Joe Thornton...
That's the guy that... It would be nice from the other perspective if the Sharks made it, because guess who's the team that drafted him?
Oh, that's true. That's right. Joe Thornton he's played in 3 decades. He began play in the 1990s. He's approaching, I think, 20 years as a player. And he's one of a few players one of whom is Roberto Luongo, who have played in 3 decades. So I'd love to see him get a Stanley Cup finally. He's come so close. He's been to the finals once and lost to the Penguins a couple of years ago.
Right. Yeah, the Sharks are... The Sharks have had this run of just really good teams that just have not been able to make it. The closest they got was, 2016 against the Penguins. They got to 6 games at the very least. But really, I don't know how much longer the Sharks can keep this up. They have a lot of question marks. Erik Karlsson's going to be a free agent.
Right.
And this is probably the last run for these guys.
Yeah.
Unless they do a rebuild on the fly, but it'll be a new cast of characters.
It no longer be the core that we've come to know and love over the past decade.
I mean, you'll still have Brent Burns and Martin Jones, but I mean, Joe Thornton, the thought is that this might be his last season. We don't know, but
I think if he wins the cup, he'll just call it.
Yeah, he'll do the Bork thing, you know.
I mean, that would be a great way to go out. But who knows? I've seen stranger things. People thought that Tom Brady, bringing it back to Boston, people thought that Tom Brady was going to retire after this Super Bowl, but he said, no, I've got about 100,000 miles left on this body. I'm going to keep going.
Okay, so yeah, Boston once again gets a finalist, and that sucks for the rest of us. All right. Guys, I think we're kind of towards the end of this, right?
Yep. Can I do my quick disclaimer really quick or whatever?
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Andrew. You can preface it, whatever you want to say.
Just prefacing, I've noticed a trend over the past few episodes. Just we strive here. We want to be nice and relaxed and groovy. You know, we have a ton of fun on this show. You know, I have fun. I hope that you, Charles, and you, Francisco, have fun doing this every week. Well, do you, or
Yes.
you hate this?
I hate this. That's why I created it.
Gotcha.
Oh,
So-
Frankenstein.
Yeah, we have fun doing it. You know, I enjoy it. And, you know, I figured we'd take stock of where we are now as a series, especially now that we've got our first patron. You know, I've noticed a few things that, you know, we have the jokes, you know. Charles brought up Robert Kraft's male genitalia a little bit earlier in the show.
Honestly, everybody brings up Robert
Right.
Kraft's genitalia. It's going to be the meme for the 2019
No,
season.
absolutely. But, you know, sometimes, you know, as we're on live TV and whatnot, not live TV, live stream,
You
whatever.
can watch this on the YouTube app on your TV if you want to.
That is true.
Or the Twitch app on TV.
So theoretically, we could be on live TV. That would be cool, though. If anyone watches us on TV, that would be cool. So we could say we're on TV. But, you know, as we're going forward, you know, sometimes we'll do some jokes that may cross a line. And I just kind of wanted to say basically that, you know, as we're moving forward, we want to keep things spontaneous and whatnot. But we do apologize if we've said anything that is considered offensive. You know, we're not going to lose any of our spunk and charm, being spontaneous and funny and whatnot, but we're also going to be mindful of the fact that there are some topics that we may touch on, either by just general topic, by joke or whatnot, that might be a little bit too far over the line. So my message here basically is we're not changing. We're going to be the same Sports Goofs as we have been for the past 25 episodes. But we're also going to be a bit more mindful of what we say when it comes to certain things. I don't see it as a bashing of us. I see it as an evolution of us to...
I mean, this is just the way things go.
Yeah.
It's like I mentioned before. We do this for fun. This is all
Yeah.
for fun. This is all for our enjoyment and our kind of catharsis and our own kind of mental health.
Yes.
Even though it's May and it's Mental Health Month, so you got think
absolutely.
about that too. And we have fun with it. And look, I've been on YouTube for forever.
For anyone who doesn't know, look up FJOJR on YouTube. He's an OG YouTuber.
Yeah, I was in the bedrock. I was before all these guys here, but I am the I'm the bacteria, the amoeba that was inside. Going back to the Houston Science Museum, I was the bacteria that in the acidic waters of Earth, of the YouTube Earth, life was forming. I was single-celled.
Francisco makes up the primordial soup that is the early years of YouTube.
Right. So I've seen every trend that has gone by. I've seen the pranks.
You started in 06,
right? I've seen the pranks. I've seen the YouTube poops, if anybody remembers those.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I've seen this unfortunate Fortnite crap. And I'm seeing like now actual quality stuff on documentaries, and I've seen YouTube's grand mistakes with their YouTube Premium TV programs, which are awful, and they're almost maybe Cobra Kai. Maybe that's the only one, the one saving grace. But the rest of YouTube's original programming is just awful. But I've seen everything, and I've seen YouTubers rise and fall as well based on their behavior and what they've said on and off the camera.
Right.
Okay, and I've tried to take advantage of this Pro Jared thing by featuring Pro Jared on some of my latest Let's Plays. So hoping to get people to see it. So like, holy crap, he's actually doing this with this random guy?
Exactly.
And like, no, I do not talk to this guy, but welcome to my stream.
So to that end, you bring up a good point. I don't want to... YGO abridged, you uncultured swine. But to that end,
oh gosh,
I freaking love this show.
Charles loved that one. Dude, look, YouTube. I love YouTube. I still watch YouTube every day. Like, it's honestly my go-to channel out of everything. Like ESPN. Like, I don't even watch ESPN. Like, it's more than Netflix, more than anything. I love it.
I literally go to sleep every night listening to YouTube because I can't go to sleep. My mind races whenever I don't listen to anything when I try to sleep. This kind of helps me have some white noise to go to sleep to. So it's basically a necessity in my life.
It's like I've been to the creators events that they had here in Miami and stuff, and other people that are doing this stuff. It's huge competition. Okay, we're up against so many things. Heck, there are even I've seen on Twitch, there are actual radio stations that already have their stuff that are live streaming their shows on Twitch at the same time. So it's like, man, you guys are obviously, but it's a lot of competition out there, and that's why we were so thankful for Awesome Jacket too.
Exactly. It's kind of, regardless of how much money he gave, it kind of is almost like it is a milestone for us that someone is willing to support us because they like the content that we're putting out every week.
And, and guys like BU, Mikey, Freddie,
who are with us every week.
Yeah, and, people spend their time, and we're just hoping some other people will come up to and stuff, and hopefully we have some sort of insight or just opinions. Like, I'm hoping to maybe we can start tackling sports, not philosophical questions, or just remember when we were at the ball game and you mentioned my idea about changing the schedule for we could have an entire episode, instead of talking about the topics, because eventually we're just going to have straight baseball.
Right.
And look, I love baseball, but
me too.
It's not going to be completely interesting every week.
Right.
So we could talk hey, if we were to change the schedules of all 4 major pro sports, how would we do it? And we'd all have our own plans and just lay it out there and actually, that's a good idea. Now that
I like
it's
that.
saved, but
We should save that for the week after the NBA playoffs end,
right.
since they're the ones that'll end last, most likely.
Yeah, they'll last in, gosh, like the
they're
last
like-
week of June or something.
They're like
that.
a week behind
right.
the NHL.
So we'll have like about 4 weeks, maybe a month between the end of the NBA finals and the beginning of college football.
Right. So we'll do a lot of stuff like that. But I guess my conclusion, I know these guys want to get out of here. It's way past our quote-unquote bedtime. But I love doing this. We all love doing this. And we want to keep doing this. And, you know, as you alluded to, you've seen the rise and fall of YouTubers based on their on-air and off-air actions. I want to avoid being in the fall category.
Right.
So it's, I guess, a little.
I mean, if
more...
we're gonna go out with a bang.
Oh, no question, absolutely.
If we're really gonna offend the rest of the world and everybody shuns us completely, we're gonna make sure you're really offended by it.
You're gonna get your monies. We're gonna get our money.
You thought Pro Jared was something? Ooh, boy, man. Not that I have skeletons like that in my closet.
Right.
Okay.
So you know,
A Robert Kraft-esque thing, maybe. I don't know.
maybe. So we're gonna still have. Oh dear. So we're gonna have random crap like this, you know, chatting and having fun. But you know, we're just gonna be a bit more. We're gonna be more mindful of what we say, just to, you know, from our end. Don't ask Francisco at Astroglide.
Oh no. Okay.
So we want to make sure.
I love how you're mentioning this stuff, and we're just like going all out with our. But obviously not saying anything supremely
Right.
offensive. Just very
Just next week's non-sponsor.
nonce. Gosh darn it! The Dodgers are up 5-0 on the Rays.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn it.
The Marlins are still winning.
Excellent.
Okay.
So you know, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Is we want to, you know, engage the community. We want to make sure that everyone's having a fun and good time with our shows. We want to make sure that we're having fun and a good time with our shows, and we want to keep building and growing.
Yeah.
And who knows, pick up another patron at some point.
Yeah.
Everyone, I posted the link earlier, www.patreon.com/sportsgoofs.
Sports Goofs. So Vladimir Putin, Kevin Durant, they're out there. You know, I'm just saying. Vince McMahon, you know, I know Charles made fun of you a ton, but, you know.
Listen,
You never-
Tony Khan, I'll sponsor AEW. I'll sponsor All Elite Wrestling. I'll go over to the
Right.
side of the.
Yeah, we'll change the logo on the segment if you want to.
I'll bleach my hair blonde like Cody Rhodes did.
Yeah.
Support us, Tony. Support.
Hey, if you end up bleaching your hair, we'll have to do an actual live stream with video.
I will basically
Right.
look like Kiefer Sutherland's character from The Lost Boys.
That's odd. Yes.
Just get me like a tooth earring, and it's done.
We'll work on that. Patrons, if you want to see that, keep donating. We will get
I
to
could
this
put it
point.
as a goal. At $100, we'll get Charles to do that.
That would be amazing. So that's the end of my spiel, if you will, my rant. I just wanted to get that out there, and I appreciate you guys giving me the dais or whatever it's called, the podium, if you will, for a couple of minutes just to bring that up.
All right.
I thought it was important to mention, and
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we will see you guys, I think, next week, as long as I'm not flying out someplace for another episode. Thank you, Charles. You guys stream while I am at work. LOL. Yeah, you see. But that's the thing. Everything's saved though. If you guys want to rewatch it, honestly, we are on everything. Like if you look on the bottom right of our screen, YouTube. I stream on Facebook on my actual Facebook profile page. If you have to look for me, we stream on Vaughn Live. Anybody seen Vaughn Live? It's kind of like a very casual video. You guys have never actually don't even know what we platform to. So we're on Twitch. Obviously, Twitch is very popular. We will get gaming back here at some point. InstaGib, which is spin-off of Vaughn Live, which is more gaming oriented, but we do stream on that. Mixer, which is the one that the Xbox uses, is the streaming platform for Xbox, and you can use it on PC as well. Smashcast, which is another streaming platform, not very popular right now, but I think it's Taiwanese. Periscope, which is Twitter. Periscope and Twitter, it's really our best platform, is where most people watch us. Africa TV, which is Korea. We not as high numbers, but we'll get there at some point with the Korean audience.
And Japan, of course.
FC2, which is Japan, which is one of our best numbers, honestly, really.
So thank you, Japan.
And D Live, which is something new. It's a brand new one. It's more cryptocurrency based. You can actually do that stuff. And YouNow, I don't even know what YouNow is. I think it was an old platform that was trying to be like Vine or Snapchat, that type of thing. And Streamcraft is another one that is like more main, like Fortnite type of streaming, trying to be like Twitch, but they're not there yet. And of course, more of our networks, guys. We got to continue this because we are on everything. If you want to follow us, we're on Instagram.com/sportsgoofs. We post clips of our videos and any general nonsense that we have. And of course, our Twitter page, because that's where we post. That's where we go into the cesspool of Twitter, and we go to battle against Kevin Durant. Or we actually with Kevin Durant. Yes. We're with Kevin Durant. Right? We're on your side, dude.
Exactly.
Whichever one of your burner accounts, we'll follow them. You follow us, and we'll get to it, dude. We'll defend you. All right?
We'll meet you in the middle. Or if you decide to come to Miami, we'll hang out.
You can come to the Heat if you want to. All right. So that's it, guys.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Take care.